Hello everyone, welcome back to ES6 feature series. So in the last video we learned about classes and module, and today we are going to cover optional chaining and nullish coalescing. So by the end of this video you will write safe and concise code without worrying about undefined or null values, right? So let's dive into that. I created a file here, so let me add the basic things first. So HTML is going to be add, write any kind of title here, say this body, right? Script, and yeah, we are done. So the question is, what is optional chaining? So optional chaining allow us to safely access nested object properties without worrying, without throwing an error, right? So optional chaining allow us to safely access nested object properties without throwing an error. So let's understand with the example. So we'll say what we say constant, and we'll say user, create the name, and then say that. Yeah. And what we're going to do, suppose we are going to access this, we'll say console log, and we are going to access the user, not like the user, or you can say addresses city, right? So what we will get here, just let's run it and we'll see in the browser what we get, right? So this is the browser, and let's open the console. So it's a undefined, right? And when you use the optional chaining, I mean, done wrong. So this is the without optional chaining. Let's switch to the browser, and what it says, it say cannot read properties of undefined. That is basically reading city, right? And when you use optional chaining basically we add this. So what we get, switch to the browser, and it's a undefined. Basically, it is stop evaluation if the property doesn't exist, and return undefined. So it's no more runtime error, right? So whenever you're not sure like what you get here, get the if you get the data or not, so you use optional chaining, right? Now let's understand optional chaining with a function. So what we'll do, we'll create a function that's a constant, and we can say data equals to, you can say right, uh, function, and we'll say hello. Let's close this. So we'll say console dot log. You can say user dot read the optional chaining dot, and it's right, and let me just copy this. So greet we have, right, and we are going to say you can say hi. So this one we know that it exists, but this one we don't know. We know that this does not exist. So let's switch to the browser and see what we get, right? So something we have done wrong here, and okay, so we have just listened the wrong parameter. I mean wrong. So this is the data, and now we can see a switch. See, we got the hello, and as the greet is there, and the say hi is not there, so we get the undefined, and it work with the method array and nested object safely. Now next thing what we are going to learn, we are going to learn that nullish coalescing. So nullish coalescing allow us to provide default value when default value only when a variable is null or undefined, right? So suppose we have run the optional chaining and we know that we are getting the value undefined and null values, right? So what are we going to do? We are going to provide them a default value, right? So let's understand. So we'll say constant and we'll say user name equals to, we can say null, right? And the next thing what we're going to do is we'll say constant, we can say final score or no. So this is not the good explain. So what we'll say username is null, right? So we'll say name, that will be a username and we'll say guest, right? Add the semicolon. Now what we're going to do, we're going to understand it's console.log and we'll say, so what we are doing, we are just adding a default value, right? With the help of Nullish Coalescing, right? So we know that username is null and we are checking here if the username is null. So if user is name is null, then it should return the guest. So let's switch to the browser and see what we get here. So it's a name, right? And it's a name. Okay, string, right? Should be. Now we can see as a guest, right? So unlike or, like it doesn't treat you zero or empty string as a false, right? And that's how you use optional chaining and nullish coalescing in JavaScript. So in the next video, we will going to explore the set, big set, big map. That is the very powerful ES6 collection. So if you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you into the next one.